Hi guys, JP from FSiPanel. On this quick tutorial, I want to show you something that we found out today. One of you sent me an email having trouble to fly an approach here in Iceland at the airport of Akureyri. And the reason why is we have two localizer on the same runway. I will show you that in a couple of seconds. So FSiPanel was picking up the wrong one because it picks the first localizer that he found for the runway. And this is the reason why the aircraft was not aligned properly with the runway. So I decided to make a video to show you how you could easily set up the aircraft anywhere you like for the approach. If you don't want to use the 8 miles final or 4 miles final, then I will show you an alternative that you can use. So we are going to create here together a pilot waypoint. And after that, we are going to take a snapshot. And once you have these two things done, especially the snapshot, you can repeat the approach as many times as you like with different weather, day after days, using your snapshot. So this is the idea of the small tutorial today. So before I forget, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys. And let's jump into it. So let me show you the approach first. All right, so here we are into the Akureyri Iceland Airport, Bravo India Alfa Romeo. And Christopher, the pilot that wrote to me today, wanted to position the aircraft on the 8 miles final right there. So this is what he put, long final most probably. And the problem is, if you look on localizer 01, which is the same runway, there is another localizer, and this localizer has a big offset. So FSiPanel took that one as default, as it's the first one in the Navigraph database, and positioned the aircraft right there. So not aligned with the ILS 01. So the question that came is, how can I basically fly an approach straight in using that approach? And by the way, this is the very first time that I see two localizer with different track on the same runway. And then somebody wrote to me for that reason. So it's a good learning thing as well for me. And I will see if we can do anything to fix it or to list the two localizer. But in the meantime, I will show you a very easy way to fix it quickly should you want to fly this particular approach like Christopher. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about a pilot waypoint. What we want to do is tell FSiPanel to create a position at Pexil, because we want to start flying right there at 6,000 feet, this approach. So we want to be just south of Pexil. So we want to create a waypoint, 6,000 feet, let's say around 3 miles south of Pexil. And from there, we can fly the approach. So what you have to remember when you do pilot waypoint is the radials, okay? If you look at Pexil, outbound here, you're outbound, imagine this is a VOR. It's the easiest way to understand that. Going outbound on Pexil 010, you're flying on the radial 010. If you want to position the aircraft right there, this is the other radial. The radial will be the opposite of 010, so 010 plus 180, that makes 190. So the reference is Pexil. This is what we will tell FSiPanel. We will select radial 190, which is basically that straight line here, and we will tell 3 nautical miles. So we expect the aircraft to be somewhere right there. All right, so let's go ahead, start FSiPanel and do this waypoint together. Okay, here we are. So the correct airport has been detected. It's runway 01. And now if I do long final, I'll be in the wrong position, exactly like the pilot that tried the approach. So this is not what we want to do. What we want to do is go to select fix. Then you have the pilot custom waypoints, select waypoints. There is no airport so far, no waypoint so far at this airport. This is why we do not have a list of waypoints. So I'm going to create a new waypoint. And when you do that, then you have this form, which can look a little bit complicated, but in fact, it is not very complicated. So today we are going to talk about a reference. We said the reference is the waypoint Pexil. So that's the first thing you want to do, the position reference. So let me show you that. This is the actual aircraft coordinates. If you want, let's say you're flying over the Golden Gate Bridge and you would like to have a pilot waypoint exactly right there, you could take the actual aircraft position as the reference. Now we want to use a navigate or a fix. So I'm going to click on pick navigate and fix. Then, is it a VOR? NDB or is it a fixed waypoint? Usually the fixed waypoints, they have 5 letters, while the VORs or NDBs, they have like 3 letters ident. So here, the waypoint pexil is a waypoint. So I'm going to leave selected fixes waypoint, and I will type in pexil. Search, and then I find, as you can see, pexil, which is 15 nautical miles from the reference airport that we set in FSiPanel. So that's the correct waypoint. If you have several waypoints, because you know sometimes waypoints can be found in different places of the world, then you will see the distance to your reference airport. Make sure you pick the correct one. So it's very straightforward. So I click on it, and then I select the waypoint. Now we do have here the coordinates to pexil. And now FSiPanel wants to know, do you want to be right over red? In that case, just click compute coordinates. But we want to have some time to prepare the aircraft. So as we discussed before, we were going to select the radial 190, which is basically south of pexil, but on the same track of the inbound localizer 010. And the distance, we said we'd like to be only 3 miles out. So if we do that, we should be 3 miles south of pexil on the radial 190. So now what you need to do is compute coordinates. So these new coordinates that you see right there, that's the coordinate of the 3 miles south of pexil. Now FSiPanel needs some more information. What altitude you want to be at? So let's say 6,000 as per the chart. Now the heading, you want the aircraft to be facing north on the localizer. So 010 is the correct heading. How do you want the aircraft to be in terms of configuration? Clean, gear up, flaps up, speed 220 knots. Vectors, flaps 5, gear up, and the speed at Bug 5, or final. This is completely up to you. So we are here at 15 miles. So in that case, what I will select myself is vectors. That's good enough. I don't need to have gear down flaps 30 already here. So I select vectors. Waypoint name, completely up to you. So I'll put pexil 3 nautical miles. And I will put 3 nautical miles south of pexil for ILS 01. Good, so now everything is filled. Click on Save Waypoint. Waypoint has been created successfully. Okay. Now you can see we have a waypoint. If you click on that waypoint, let me start from the beginning again. You start FSiPanel, you have the correct airport. You select Fix, you go to Pilot Waypoint, and now you will see your pilot waypoint. If you click on it, you get some information. This is the basic information that we have entered. So if you don't touch anything right there, this is exactly what we programmed. Let's say another day you would like to be at 7,000 feet because you want to do the same approach, but you would like to be a little bit higher. Just click on 6,000 feet and change it to 7,000 feet. As easy as that. But for now, we will leave it at 6,000. So you can change everything right there. If you need, you can do it from there. Now you have these 2 buttons. One is to delete the waypoint if you don't want to use it anymore. And the other one here is to download the waypoint. So you could basically share that pilot waypoint with your friends, with your colleague, with the community on a forum. Then let me show you that. You click here. And this is the waypoint. So I'm going to create just a new folder here for the demonstration. New. And I'm going to put here pexil 3 nautical miles. Now the waypoint has been saved. So if anybody wants to fly that waypoint, the only thing they have to do is drag and drop the file right over here on the main panel window, and the waypoint will be imported in their database. So you can share your pilot waypoint. Good, so now that we have a pilot waypoint, let's try to position the aircraft. So select Fix, waypoint, I select that one, I keep everything as default. I validate this, and now, as you can see, we have the Move Aircraft button, and we are ready to go. The aircraft is probably overweight, so we are going to reduce the weight when FSiPanel asks to do so, or you could as well reduce your weight directly from the FMC as you're probably used to by going to the FS action here and fuel and payload. This is completely up to you how you want to reduce the aircraft weight. Here I haven't touched anything, so we are about to fly this approach. So let's go back in FSiPanel, click move aircraft and see what happened. All right, move aircraft, aircraft overweight as expected, new load. I will reduce my zero fuel weight and I will put, let's say 3.5 tons of fuel, something like that. And I'm ready to go, update the load, and now everything will start moving. So we expect the flaps to be flaps 5. This is exactly what we have right now. And then the aircraft will move in the air. As always, do not touch anything at all when FSiPanel is working, otherwise you might give more trouble than anything else. So just wait for the show. One thing I'd like to mention here maybe is if you have some hardware. So if you have, for example, a throttle quadrant, TCA and so on, and your flap lever or your gear level is not in the correct position, then that might interfere as well. And FSiPanel might not be able, for example, here to raise the landing gear or to select the correct flap setting. So make sure you follow with your hardware what FSiPanel wants. So flaps 5 for vectors, flaps 30 for approach, flaps up if you're clean, and the gear is completely obvious. All right, so we are reaching 6,000 feet. QNH has been set, alt acquired, and as you can see now, everything should be fine. Here we go, aircraft ready, hold your brake for 3 seconds, and I had the parking brake on, so that's not a good idea. Exactly what I was referring with the hardware, you see? So what I'll do, if that happened to you, then the best thing is just either you can use FSiPanel to pause the aircraft. You can go to sim control, freeze position. And by doing this, then again, the aircraft is in position freeze. So we moved a little bit ahead as we were 3 miles. If you remember right, now we are 2.2. I freeze the position again from FSiPanel. So I basically fix the issue quickly. And I can work on my cockpit, and then I will have to take control not by holding the brake, because this is done already and FSiPanel is not expecting that anymore, but by going back to the sim control and releasing the freeze position. All right, so here we are. Now we are going to prepare everything. You can see that we are way off track in the localizer here, because the localizer that has been selected right now is India Echo Yankee, which is the offset localizer. So now it's the good time to update our box. So let's go ahead and choose the ILS01 via Pexil. We have it in front of us. Execute. Now if we look in the legs, we can see that we're going to Pexil. We have a hold, and again Pexil, and then we go for the Fox India 01 at 4,800. So I'll just put the first Pexil on top. Here we go. It says 6,100 or above. Okay, so here on the chart I see 6,000, so we will leave it like this. That should work. If I go to the VNAV page here in the cruise, I will try to put 6,000, see if she accepts it. Maybe not because of the 6,100, so she changed it to 6,100, not a big deal. We can take that. And we have the landing speed. Yes. We have the auto brake. Let's put 3 on that short runway. And basically now we need to check the ILS frequency. So right now you can see that we have 108.9 and 010. But maybe FSiPanel hasn't set the correct one, as you can see, because of this special situation that we're having today. So I'm just going to change it here to 108.9. 1089. And I will change it as well on the first officer side, nav2, 1089. Good. So now we have the 2 correct frequencies, and we can see that we are perfectly lined up. Another thing, the course. You can see the course 035, and the course is supposed to be 010. So we are going to change the course to 010 on both sides. 010, 010. Now let's have a look at the minimum for this approach. So for this approach, minimum for category C, if we do the ILS, and we have 5% climb gradient on the 600, is 320 feet. So I'm going to set here the minimum at 320 feet. Good. 320, 320, auto brake, everything is set. So now basically, guys, you can set anything you want. Nav setting, you can back up the VOR, you can do whatever you want in your cockpit. And whenever you're ready, you can fly that approach. Here, I had the parking brake on, so the aircraft started to roll by itself. I positioned myself, and I just basically freeze the position from the FSiPanel control. But if you will be flying normally without the parking brake set, like just happened to me, then of course the aircraft will be in position freeze and you could just hold your brake to take control and fly. But now, before we take control, we are going to use the snapshot feature because we don't want to repeat all this setup every time. Let's say you'd like to fly 3 or 4 times this approach. Then you want to avoid having to reprogram every time your approach. So one thing to make sure with the snapshot mode, make sure you are in heading, make sure you are in altitude hold. The aircraft should be stable in heading and not descending, not climbing. So you are in heading and altitude hold. Everything is stable. Now I'm going to take a snapshot. So let me show you that. So a snapshot is exactly like taking a picture. We use it in a real-world simulator many times because we want to repeat specific things and we don't want to lose time setting up the aircraft. So we are doing the same thing today. So I'm going to click Take Snapshot. And by doing this, FSiPanel asks you, give me a name. So I'll just put ILS01 from the Waypoint Pexil. And there I can put, for example, 6,000 feet, 3 nautical miles south of Pexil for ILS01. For example, save the snapshot. When you do that, FSiPanel is working on it. You can see that everything is happening on the first officer side and as well taking all the variables into account. So we are waiting now for the confirmation that the snapshot has been saved successfully. Once this is done, you get snapshot saved successfully on your screen and as well on the in-game. And now you know that the snapshot has been saved. Now, because we saved the snapshot, the aircraft moves ahead. So we can basically fly the approach, and we have Vorlock, glide slope arm, and we can fly our approach. As easy as that. So let me show you something again, and then we'll try from sitting on ground and see if we can repeat that approach. So I just want to show you something right there. We are in FSiPanel, and I click on Load Snapshot. I find my snapshot again right there. You see that note right here. Right-click to export your snapshot. So let me do that. And now I'm going to put 736 because this snapshot is for the 737-600, just to make sure I remember. And I will put Pexil ILS01. Save. Now the snapshot is exported successfully, which means I can share it with you. Provided you have a 737-600, you can fly this exact approach by just importing the snapshot. So to import the snapshot, very straightforward, drag and drop it right there, and it's imported. So let me show you that. I have here my file. This is my pilot waypoint. This is my snapshot. So let's say I want to import a snapshot, drag and drop it over the main window, and as you can see, you have some information. Flight, this is to fly it only once without importing it. Save it, and it will be on your database. Then you can fly it many times in a row without having to take care of the drag and drop anymore. As easy as that. All right, so that's it for the today's demonstration. I mean, for the setup. Now I'm going to show you how you can use your snapshot to repeat the approach. So we are going to bring the aircraft back on ground on runway 01, and you will see what happens. So let me do that quickly. All right, here we are. So I'm going to select the airport, Bravo India Alpha Romeo, and I'm going to select runway 01 and fly. So now you will see how you can quickly use your snapshot the same day or the day after, or let's say you received that snapshot from your friend, or you found it in the community, you imported it and you want to fly it. So let's see how long it takes and if everything is set correctly. So I click ready to fly. We should have our 737 sitting on the runway. The weather has deteriorated a little bit right now. So you can see that nothing is set properly right now in the cockpit. We have the wrong QNH altimeter setting. We have nothing in the box. So basically, I just loaded my aircraft. Let's start FSiPanel. Now I go to select fix. No, I won't select fix. I have my correct airport, my correct runway, and I'm going to use the snapshot. Load snapshot. I find my snapshot right there. Click on it. Select. Position summary. It's a snapshot, which will be at 6,000 feet. Move aircraft. I click move aircraft, and let's go back in the sim. Preparing your aircraft standby. So as always, do not touch anything. Now FSiPanel is working. You can see that everything is still wrong. Now we can see that we have 6,000. We have the modes, so we should go back to 6,000 feet. We can see that the gear is not correctly set, so we just wait. Do not touch anything. FSiPanel is working. So just wait. Now you can see that FSiPanel has set vertical speed to go back to 6,000 feet. The gear is on the way up. Gear is up. Perfect. Now FSiPanel puts the gear lever to off position. And once we reach 6,000 feet, we should be giving the control. Remember, we were at 2.2 miles from Pexil because we moved a little bit ahead. So that's the case. We have the correct QNH right now. We have the minimum set. We have the course 010010. We should have the correct frequency here, 089089. We have basically everything set as we took the picture. The snapshot is just like a picture. And once everything is set, let me check. I don't have the parking brake. Fine. You get that message, aircraft ready, hold your brake for 3 seconds. Let's do that now. 1, 2, 3 seconds. I have control. I can arm the approach. And off we go. Now you can fly your perfect approach in Iceland. So here the idea was to show you how to create a pilot waypoint, how to export and save your pilot waypoint, how to create a snapshot, take a snapshot, which is very nice if you want to repeat several times in a row the approach, if you want to share with the community. So you have your snapshot available and feel free to use it anytime you want. The weather, even if the weather is different, FSiPanel will adapt. So the QNH here will be set as per the new weather. And then it's up to you. The only thing you have to make sure is if you fly another day and the wind is tailwind 25 knots, then of course, then you can have tailwind even if you're using the snapshot. Snapshot is not changing the weather. The weather is the weather file that you select. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you have any question or comment, please drop it in the section down below. And please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you very soon for another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.